Welcome to the webinar on the request for proposals for exemplary school models and practices for the New York State My Brother's Keeper initiative. This request for proposals is number 17-014. Proposals must be postmarked by June 9, 2017. Today's webinar will be led by me, Karen Hines, of the New York State Education Department's Office of Family and Community Engagement. I am the associate who will be your NYSED program contact for this grant. This webinar will touch on the highlights of the RFP, but please read through the RFP carefully as there is more information contained therein. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. Here's a brief overview of our agenda for this webinar. We will take a look at important dates, background, goals, key terms, application guidance, institutional eligibility, goals for success, funding, budget, awards, project schedule, the proposal narrative, organizational background, objectives and key strategies, address goals, project staffing and management, MWBE, Minority Women Business Enterprises, the briefing procedures, the award protest procedure, important dates, the application, and the application checklist. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. Our overall goals for this webinar are to give a detailed review of the RFP, to clarify some points of the RFP based on some questions we've received thus far, and to help generate additional questions so all eligible applicants are prepared to respond to this RFP. To accomplish this, please email modelrfp@nysed.gov if you have questions. You will notice the email at the bottom of all pages. Please note, no responses will be given to individual questions. Questions must be received no later than Wednesday, May 10th, and all questions and answers will be posted by Friday, May 19th, 2017 at this link, My Brother's Keeper website. Full proposals must be postmarked by June 9th, 2017. These important dates will appear again in the webinar. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. The following is a summary of the background for this RFP that originated with the National My Brother's Keeper initiative. As part of the national initiative launched in February 2014, My Brother's Keeper seeks to close the persistent gaps in educational achievement and opportunity Exemplary School Model and Programs is a school district that employs educational programs and models that build academic identity and social capital for underachieving youth. For the purposes of data reporting and analysis, projects will be deemed as meeting project expectations if they produce the following: statistically significant improved academic performance for students from low socioeconomic status families based on New York State assessments, a statistically significant reduction in the academic performance gap between boys and young men of color and all other students, statistically significant improved graduation rates for boys and young men of color, students eligible for free or reduced lunch, English language learners, and students in special education. Required data reporting will determine whether and to what extent these objectives and expectations are met. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. For the purposes of this RFP, a boy or young man of color includes male students in New York State public schools who are identified in their school records with the race and ethnicity described as Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, Asian, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, American Indian, Alaska Native, or 2 or more races. School districts are required to ensure the official school record accurately identifies the student in the category that the student has identified, and not a category identified by a school or district official. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Next, I will guide you through the application process. Required signature. The original signature of the district superintendent or designee of the institution must appear on the Statement of Assurances page in blue ink. Number of copies. Please submit 1 original of the full proposal as well as 1 electronic copy of the complete application on CD to NYSCD postmarked by June 9, 2017. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Institutional eligibility. First of all, you have to be a New York State public school district, not a school building. Next, there are 2 paths to eligibility. 1, either a New York State public school district having one of the 4 following designations: large city, New York City, rural high needs, or urban suburban high needs. Or 2, be a New York State school district contracted to provide educational services to American Indian Reservation populations. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Funding. The allocation for the 2017-18 is expected to be $2 million. The maximum request for any exemplary school model and program project will be $140,000 per year. A minimum of 15% match of the approved grant contract is required. The matching requirement may be met through the institution's own resources, private sources, other non-state government sources, and/or in-kind services. Other state funds may be used in this match except for state grant funds from educational opportunity programs, but may not duplicate services provided. Applicants must submit an FS-10 with this application for the initial 12-month project period from September 1st, 2017 through August 31st, 2018. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. The budget and the budget narrative. The applicant must indicate the proposed expenditures for the project on the RFP attachment 4. MBK proposed budgets for 2017-18, 2018-19, and 2019-20. The attachment must provide complete information and indicate all proposed expenditures. The budgets must be consistent with the scope of services, be reasonable, cost-effective, and have a staffing pattern that is appropriate for the services to be offered. Budget narrative expenditure descriptions must follow the general form of the RFP attachment 4, MBK proposed budget, using the same sequence of categories and code numbers. Budget justifications must be clear and appropriate. Note, a completed FS10 proposed budget for the 2017-18 for the project will be required with this application. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Every grant has allowable and non-allowable expenses. Allowable expenses are listed on page 14 of the RFP are project administration, program activities, and administrative and instructional supplies, materials, and durable goods. Non-allowable, as listed on page 14 of the RFP are funds may not be used for indirect costs, funds may not be used for construction or renovation of classroom or office space. Funds may not be used for equipment. Items with a per unit cost of $5,000 or more. Funds are not available for rental of office and meeting space, storage facilities, equipment or fixtures, or communication costs, such as phone, postage, and/or electronic communication costs. Funds cannot be used for items which previously had been assumed by the institution. The purpose of the MBK award is to supplement rather than supplant monies previously or presently allocated to MBK-related activities. MBK funds are intended to establish new efforts or to enrich or expand existing ones. They may not be used to supplant funding of other existing efforts. MBK funds cannot be used to pay the salary or stipend of the MBK Exemplary School Model Program Director's supervisor or someone designated as a principal investigator for the grant. Funds may not be used for purposes other than those described in the approved grant contract. MBK funds cannot be used for organizational dues or items not specifically allowed under the categories identified above. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Method of determining award amount. The funds in the appropriation will be distributed to successful applicants according to the process indicated below. The proposals will be rated numerically with a maximum possible score of 100 points, 80 points for the narrative application and 20 points for the budget and budget narrative. Scores are recorded to 2 decimal places. Awards will be made as follows. 2 to districts contracting to provide American Indian educational services, 5 to eligible districts in New York City, and 7 to eligible districts in the rest of the state, for a total of 14 awards. In the event that fewer than the designated number of awards are made in a given region, those remaining awards will be made statewide based on the next highest ranked application score for the scoring method above. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Project schedule. For year 1, projects may begin as early as September 1st, 2017, but must be completed by August 31st, 2018. For year 1, expenses incurred prior to September 1st, 2017, or after August 31st, 2018, will not be reimbursed. Consistent funding is expected to continue the project annually through August 31st, 2020. The subsequent 2 years will be funded at the same level as was awarded for year 1, subject to the continuation of the state appropriation and the successful performance of the district. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Keep your proposal narrative concise and on point. It should be no more than 15 double-spaced pages and a minimum 10-point font. And all the information requested in this section, excluding the resumes and the FS10, should be contained within the narrative portion of the proposal. Application cover page, an executive summary of a one-page maximum, organizational background, program objectives, strategies, activities, services and performance, measures and data sources, project staffing and management, budget narrative. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Organizational background. This section should include an overview and brief description of the applicant's school, district, and administrative structure. Districts must describe their existing collaborative work with P-12 schools, institutions of higher education, and community-based programs. To identify best practice models that are research-based, outcome-focused, and promote partnerships among schools, community colleges, public four-year institutions, community support services, and community-based organizations that provide high-quality, comprehensive, and coordinated support, services, and opportunities for students placed at risk, with an emphasis on boys and young men of color. A brief history, accomplishments, qualifications, and educational experience in serving the needs of at-risk populations. Applicants' partner for demonstration and replication must be a school within another district with similar demographics within the applicant's region. And the three regions are schools providing American Indian educational services, New York City, and the rest of states. Must be a struggling or persistently struggling school and must be identified in the application. Where no demographically similar struggling or persistently struggling partner is available, the partner may be a priority or a focus school. Internal program relationships also need to be included. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Objectives and key strategies. The primary objects of this program are to develop and/or expand an exemplary high-quality college and career readiness school model or program or practice that demonstrates cultural and linguistic responsiveness that emphasizes the needs of boys and young men of color, and to investigate and replicate those educational programs, practices, and models that build academic identity and social capital for underachieving youth. List the specific objectives to be accomplished. Objectives must support the My Brother's Keeper exemplary school model and program goals and key strategies and should be measurable. Each of the My Brother's Keeper exemplary school model and practices goals should be listed, goals listed should be addressed. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Addressing each goal. For each phase of the project, the applicant will need to address the following: objectives and strategies. List specific objectives to be accomplished. Objectives must support the MBK ESMP goals and key strategies and should be measurable. Each of the MBK ESMP goals listed should be addressed. Activities and services. List and describe each activity and service that supports the achievement of each objective. Include required instructional, support, and advocacy services needed for staff, student, family, and community engagement and growth. Staff responsible. Indicate staff responsible for the implementation of each activity or service. Time frame. Indicate the start and end date, time frame, and the duration of each activity or service. Measures and data sources. For each objective, describe the performance, measures, and data sources that will assess its efficacy. Indicate the populations to be served and the tools, methods, and instruments that will be used. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Project staffing and management. Describe a management plan that will ensure the effective completion of project activities given the fiscal and other resources available. Provide an organizational chart which indicates the management structure of the program within the district. Briefly describe all professional staff positions, full and part-time, paid and volunteer, that will be assigned directly to the project. Define the role and scope of the designated position. List the names and titles of all full and part-time professional and instructional staff for the project. Provide current resumes for all professionals in the project. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. MWBE, Minority Women Business Enterprises. The MWBE participation goal for this grant is 30% of each applicant's total discretionary non-personal service budget over the entire term of the grant. Discretionary non-personal service budget is defined as total budget excluding the sum of funds budgeted for direct personal services, that is professional and support staff salaries and fringe benefits, rent, lease, utilities, and indirect costs if these items are allowable expenditures. Method of compliance, full participation. This is the preferred method of compliance. Full participation is achieved when an applicant meets or exceeds the participation goals for the grant. Partial participation, partial request for a waiver. This is acceptable only if good faith efforts to achieve full participation are made and documented, but no full participation is possible. No participation, a request for a complete waiver. This is acceptable only if good faith efforts to achieve full or partial participation are made and documented, but do not result in any participation by MWBE firms. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Debriefing procedure. All unsuccessful applicants may request a debriefing within 15 calendar days of receiving notice from NYSCD. Bidders may request a debriefing letter on the selection process regarding this RFP by submitting a written request to the fiscal contact person at the New York State Education Department, Contract Administration Unit, 89 Washington Avenue, room 510 West in the Education Building, Albany, New York, 12234. The fiscal contact person will make arrangements with program staff to provide a written summary of the proposal's strengths and weaknesses, as well as recommendations for improvement. Within 10 business days, the program staff will issue a written debriefing letter to the bidder. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nyscd.gov by May 10th. Award protest procedures. Applicants who receive a notice of non-award or disqualification may protest the NYSED award decision subject to the following. The protest must be in writing and must contain specific factual and or legal allegations setting forth the basis on which the protesting party challenges the contract award by NYSED. The protest must be filed within 10 business days of receipt of a debriefing or disqualification letter. The protest letter must be filed with the New York State Education Department, Contract Administration Unit, attention, Jessica Harton, 89 Washington Avenue, room 501W, EB, Albany, New York, 12234. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. Once again, let me remind you of the important dates with regard to this RFP. Questions must be received no later than Wednesday, May 10th, 2017, and all questions and answers will be posted by Friday, May 19th, 2017, at the link My Brother's Keeper website listed on this slide. Full proposals must be postmarked by June 9th, 2017. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. Applications. Interested and eligible school districts must submit one original of the application for funding as well as one electronic copy of the complete application on CD. The original must be clearly identified and signed. An application for funding requires the original signature of the superintendent or designee of the district on the application cover page and statement of assurances, attachment 2. Applications for funding must be postmarked on or before June 9, 2017, to the New York State Education Department, Office of Access, Equity, and Community Engagement Services, 89 Washington Avenue, EBA 960, Albany, New York, 12234. If you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. Application checklist. Proposals that do not meet the application deadline requirement will not be considered. A complete application for funding consists of the following items in the order indicated. Application checklist, which is attachment 5, application cover page with the original signature of the Chief Executive or Administrative Officer, that is attachment 1, statement of assurances with the original signature of Chief Executive or Administrative Officer, that's attachment 3, the proposed budget, attachment 4, payee information form, if applicable, the proposal narrative, including attachment 2, budget narrative, FS10 budget, workers' compensation documentation, disability benefit documentation, minority women business enterprise documents page. Original signatures are required, and this is attachment 8. If you have any questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. Overall, the goals of this webinar were to give a detailed review of the RFP, to clarify some points of the RFP based on some of the questions we've received thus far, and to help generate additional questions so all eligible applicants are prepared to respond to this RFP. To accomplish this, please email modelrfp@nysed.gov if you have questions. You'll notice the email at the bottom of all pages. Please note, no responses will be given to individual questions. Questions must be received no later than Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. All questions and answers will be posted by Friday, May 19th at the link listed on the slide. Most important, full proposals must be postmarked by June 9th, 2017. Thank you for listening. Finally, if you have questions, send an email to modelrfp@nysed.gov by May 10th. Thank you.